Well, hello, Leigh. Here we are.
Huge, major breaking news. It is our 100th episode of Queer Gals Watch the West Wing. And although it was entirely unintentional that we should land on season 4, episode 22 of the West Wing for our 100th episode, I don't know that we could have really had a more epic episode to cover on our 100th episode if we'd tried.
It's landed very strategically for us, I think. With, I'm assuming, having watched it, an episode that people have been excited for us to watch.
100%. And also, I think, fascinating that, dear listener, if you're listening to this, I think you've probably listened to 99 episodes of us. Because otherwise, why would you drop in here? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So thank you.
So thank you for listening to 99 episodes
of Queer Gals Watch the West Wing with myself and the lovely Leigh.
We're obsessed with you.
And here we are, season 4, episode 22, Commencement.
I think we should get straight into it, Fi. We've got a little celebratory beverage each.
Let me just...
beautiful.
You're welcome, Misha. I hope that sounded amazing because it sounded amazing to me.
I've got a little sparkling rosé.
Leigh, I'm so thrilled. I'm so excited to talk about this episode. Can we just dive straight in?
Yes. So I was immediately panicked because I watch this program on 4OD, Channel 4's online streaming platform. And when I hit play on episode 22, I received a warning of violent scenes, Fiona, which had me
stressful.
Deeply on edge before the episode had even in fact started.
I was like, the title is Giving College Graduation. We're going to Zoe's graduation. Also, my thumbnail on my DVD was just Jed in some robes.
Oh,
I was excited. I was scared. Also, Leigh could not have I saw Leigh, I'd say 2 days after she watched this episode, but a couple of days before I watched it. And I was like, oh, how was it? And the way that she looked grey, like someone who'd perhaps returned from war, and people were like, don't ask about that. We can't speak of it. Something had happened to her, and I was like, I've never been more frightened going into an episode because Leigh was like, I'm not going to say it, but not like joking, not kidding. She was like, I'm not going to say anything. Just let me know when you've watched it. The stakes have never been higher for me personally walking into an episode. The previously on, Leigh, Charlie based, very Charlie focused.
It's giving a lot of Charlie.
I feel stressed when we focus on Charlie.
Agreed. I always feel concerned when we're putting the words violent scenes anywhere near Charlie Young's face. That doesn't feel good to me at all. And
then I was like, oh my God, it's only been a week, but I had forgotten that Hoynes is no longer VP. This is just, the stress about Charlie kind of redacted the memory of that. But shall we openly on a farewell to politics?
Whoa.
Yikes.
Whoa.
We're moving through the West Wing and there's TV screens and obviously everyone's covering the fact that Hoynes has left.
I did become slightly obsessive at the beginning of the episode about pausing on the news headlines on the TV. It was slightly epic.
Josh has gone full geography teacher. He's got a big pin board with different faces and names and verging on pieces of string joining them. And pamphlets, manila folders. I was like, this is actually very hot how organized he is.
Truly. What I will say is, who do we think would even want the job of VP?
It's a bit of a tainted role at this point as well, when you've had someone kind of dishonorably leave. You can't come and save anything because it's just the whole presidency has sort of been tainted.
It's also often a poison chalice, as we saw with Kamala Harris. I think people really took issue with Biden's record and they saw her as a part of that because of her being his vice president. So perhaps if she had never been VP, would we have a President Harris right now? Maybe.
And plus you've got the stress that the Democratic Party is going to feel in general, which is, well, he was our bid. We weren't vetting anyone else. We were vetting someone to VP him, but this was our guy.
Yeah.
So like everyone's in flux at this point.
That would mean that those candidates who we were thinking of for 3 years' time, where they had 3 years more to develop their careers before we were pitching them to the American public as a vice presidential candidate.
100%.
Now they need to be ready yesterday.
And Josh is handling all of this in his Saturday casual workwear.
Amazing outfit though from Josh, I have to say. The blue stripe with the blue jean, cinched at the waist with a brown belt. I love a high-waisted jean on that man.
Bradley Whitford has got a tiny, cunty little waist, and he should be accentuating it. Plus, I just think like a pale wash jean with a brown belt is so fucking hot in general on anyone.
Agreed.
So,
agreed.
Bradley, thank you so much.
Do we want to discuss Charlie and
the
Zoe?
Arboretum? Shall we talk about the Arboretum?
Please.
So it turns out that when Charlie and Zoe were together and she started at Georgetown, they went to the National Arboretum and they buried a bottle of champagne in amongst some areas of the Asian garden. And the idea was that on her graduation day, they would dig it up and drink it. That's the cutest fucking thing I've ever heard. He was actually an amazing boyfriend. And I have no idea why she's with Jean What's-His-Face, because he is a swine.
When we are just about to learn how much of a swine
he truly is. I have never felt a fury hotter and more violent than the fury I feel for Jean-Paul.
We'll get to it, but this is the episode that we learn in that Jean-Paul is not in fact a swine. He is in fact a predator. But let's carry on.
She's going to France tomorrow with Tartuffe. I'm going to eat the $14.
And then something very surprising happens, which is that Joshua Lyman does in fact speak truth about women here, which is fascinating.
Really sound and like, honestly, kind of like role model behavior from Josh in this moment. He's like, look, I get it. You don't like the guy. That's fine. And you put it all out there with Zoe and she said no. However, she's going away and you got to leave this on a plus. Go and get the champagne and give it to her as a gift. It's like a kind of nice, like almost like olive branch offering.
It's it's entirely dependent on how you play it, because I can see from Charlie's perspective that it might look like another go round of trying to get her back. But actually, Josh is incredibly correct when he says, or it can be the classiest X move of all time by going, hey, still love you as a person though.
Yeah, still really proud of you for graduating.
Still respect you. And just because you've rejected me romantically and sexually, I'm not going to suddenly decide that you're a bitch for no reason.
Yeah, which honestly,
as someone who watched the most recent season of Love Island, I think more straight men in 2026 could be learning from.
Yeah, need to be aware of this, quite frankly. So my thoughts on that are, do you think this perhaps is the influence of Amy's relationship with him, like kind of bearing fruit? I do feel like it was a very growing relationship. I think that he himself developed as a person.
Agreed. I think it's the combined influence of Amy and the evolution of his relationship with Donna, even though we've not taken it to a romantic place at this stage. The power dynamics, I feel, have shifted of it. And he therefore has a deeper understanding of women from having watched Donna navigate several relationships at this point as her friend.
Lovely. Yeah. Can we discuss Josh's kind of bombshell moment of like the final like pin on the pin board that goes on at the end of the scene?
Just a small final moment to the scene of whoa, a Leo McGarry vice pres.
What a thought. Now, obviously, as a lover of the show, I'm like, incredible. Love that. It's a crazy idea. He's never held office.
Well, I think he held a cabinet position.
Yes.
In the previous Democratic
Yes, which because he did, when he was talking about his journey of sobriety, he was like, I was in the cabinet and like, I wasn't like in a good place in terms of like being capable to do my job.
So didn't cover himself in glory in that role, I think it's safe to say. I just don't know if for me, it's where I see Leo being best placed. Well, it feels like a waste of his skill set to me.
Famously, it's kind of like a role where you are kind of public facing, but you can't really do anything respectfully. Leo McGarry, a doer. Someone who's getting shit done minute by minute every day. Why on earth would you put him in a role like that?
It feels like a waste of his people management skills to me.
Correct. But what a smash into credits.
What a smash in. What a smash in.
And then, oh, hi, Nancy. Here we are once again in the sit room.
God damn it, I love America.
In this episode, there are quite a lot of like, America type moments.
And it's because, whoa, have we ever had Nancy and Fitzy in the sit room together before? It feels very powerful.
I think they have encountered in the same room before, but we have multiple elongated scenes. It's really exciting.
It's really exciting because they're coming from two different perspectives. As National Security Advisor and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, they're bringing different experience to the table. And really seeing these two extremely powerful people duke it out and be incredibly capable at their jobs was hot.
Quite frankly, it was. We're going to move to the Pacific Northwest.
Yes,
because
we are.
Some 5 missing people.
Someone is missing in the Pacific Northwest, which I was like, oh my God, crossover Twilight app. They're teenagers who've been killed by vampires. Amazing.
No, just people who we are suspecting of terrorism, I fear.
May I just say, Jed Bartlett would have absolutely no time for Edward Cullen. He would have no time.
Oh, God, no.
No.
In fact, I feel that Jed Bartlett and Charlie Swan would have quite a lot to talk about.
They would. They would indeed. I do, however, fear that Zoe Bartlett would have very little time for Bella Swan.
Especially novel Bella Swan. No.
But Jed is in a lovely blue pullover.
You took the words out of my mouth. Also, he's in a striped shirt, like a striped blue and white shirt under the pullover.
It's a lovely layering.
I'm not entirely sure that we see him in stripes all that often.
Well, because I think a stripe is slightly less formal than a plain white shirt or a block
And
colour.
He looks fabulous.
He does. But we've got all of the major players coming into this ep as the credits roll over the opening scenes. We're seeing that we're going to get Andy, we're going to get Amy, we're going to get Nancy, we're going to get Zoe, and also Taye Diggs.
Mr. Idina Menzel.
I didn't put that together.
Broadway beau Taye Diggs. Mr. Adele Dazeem.
As he should be rightly credited.
Yeah.
Wow.
And listeners, when he turns up, the role that he's playing, I have a lot to speak about. Could be new favourite kind of like pop-up character.
Shall we sweep into the bullpen then so we can get to Mr. Taye Diggs?
Go to the gals in the bullpen. Now, let's discuss mentally where Amy's at, because this lead up to kind of the conclusion we'll hear about later. Very interesting energy from Amy.
Amy is hung up on something that she said to Josh. I'm guessing it is because Josh is being weird, which is not entirely an unusual scenario. She also looks great in her Saturday wear in like a deep red sleeveless top with lace trim and jeans. It's very akin to what one might have bought in Victoria's Secret circa this time. We love it. Feels very all-American.
She looks gorgeous.
She does.
I always think that Amy looks great when she's kind of dressed down because I feel like you get this indication of her age a bit more, which is this like extra facet to her character where you're like, wow, you know, I do feel that Amy is maybe a year younger than Josh, maybe was in like the college year below Josh's roommate, potentially 2 years below. It's just nice to see her like not having to play at being the professional woman, which must be a real weight in that era.
I actually love that narrative for their early courtship, the idea that he maybe knew her as a college freshman.
And she's like, no, I'm an incredibly powerful woman in politics.
That really adds an extra layer. Thank you for that, Fee.
I think this moment is interesting because it's a moment of her overthinking. And at this point, it's interesting because there's flip-flops. But at this point, I was like, oh, she's usually so sure. I feel like it's because this is about her professional opinion opposing his professional opinion. That's why she's so hung up on it, because she's like, we're now colleagues. Now I'm working for Mrs. Bartlett. But we shall see.
They have also at this stage been broken up for quite some time. Is it perhaps that new layer of where a relationship lies once the dust has fully settled and
Like,
you
we're
are at a
not-
point where you should
Yeah.
have moved on, you know?
We're not friends yet. It's that thing of being like, we can't joke because joking is just returning to flirting still. So like, where
Yeah.
are we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Brutal. Shall we talk about Toby?
Toby is quiet, which is worrying. We're also in shaky cam, which is also worrying. I initially in this conversation, when we were referencing the house, I thought, which I think was potentially intentional on Aaron Sorkin's part, that we were talking about the House of Representatives.
No.
Because famously, Andy is a congresswoman. But no. We are leading, of course, to emotional devastation, which we'll get into.
We're talking about a real house. Toby has bought a house. He has bought it for him and Andy. He's not consulted with her. I felt very confident at this point when everyone was like, hey, you showing her the house today? I was like, she knows nothing about this house.
It feels akin to like the concept of a surprise wedding.
Yes. Or like, it's your 30th birthday and I'm going to propose to you in front of everyone.
Oh, God.
It's when you're like, this is a private conversational moment that actually we might need to have discussion about, whether that's engagements, marriages, house buying, having babies, etc. And it does feel like this, to me, screams of, Andy always said I wasn't spontaneous enough.
Oh, no.
Yeah. That's the correct response, Leigh. This whole storyline fucked me up beyond belief. I sent Leigh weeping videos of myself. Leigh and I both had to pause. We'll get to it. We had to pause to sob. How dare you, Aaron?
I'm actually
How
getting
dare
stress
you?
cramps just thinking about it. I think it's particularly aggressive given that we are both women who are 32 on different sides of a coin of like partnered, unpartnered, the big baby question. I feel like it wouldn't hit as intensely at 22 or 42 as it does
At 32.
at
Yeah.
32 as a woman.
Also, Josh being like, it's a bold romantic gesture. I spread it about, got you some goodwill. Why are you telling people she doesn't know? This is, I want to be sick.
I am actively cramping as we're talking about it. But what I will say is, at this point, I was absolutely convinced that Andy was going to get shot. That was what I was convinced the violent scenes were going to be. I was like, why do I feel like Andy is going to get shot? We did have the moment in LA, potentially to foreground for us the fact that there were a lot of people that were very angry about her being an unwed mother. I was like, they're going to go to this house that Toby has bought and some psycho is going to be waiting there because it's been spread around DC that Toby Ziegler has bought this house. And someone's going to be waiting to shoot Andy. And that was my prediction for where this episode was going. I spent the rest of the episode, until really the credits rolled, deeply stressed that that was going to happen.
And the twins are due in 10 days. Everyone's being like very sweet and earnest with Toby, including Leo, which is very emotional. Being like, oh, that moment when you're bringing those babies home. Toby struggling, I'd say, in this moment.
He's not a well man, I would say. I would also say that, Leo, do you not know this man at all? You're bringing up a baby almost being born on the expressway to Toby Ziegler 10 days before his babies are due?
Yeah, because he's like, can't believe you can induce these days. Mallory was almost born on the expressway on the way to the hotel. Like, Leo, no, not with this man. He's an anxious man. What are you doing?
Why are you adding new worst case scenarios that he had not previously considered?
Because we know he's thinking about all the worst case scenarios. Richard Schiff giving performance of a lifetime. Now, we go into the Oval Office and Jed just fucking lays it all out. He's like, this is what's happening today. The fact is, we had Sharif assassinated and we covered it up. And these are the things that happened because of that. Now, does anyone have any questions?
And then it's like really sexy because we have this moment of like Leo just like really respectfully stepping in to go, anybody need him to stop? Which is just like such sexy Washington high stakes like drama. Also love that Will is on the inside.
So we've got Will, CJ, Toby, Josh, all on the inside on this. And all of them, I think, having some inkling about it. And then, like, also, I think Jed's like, if you're done, you can walk out. And,
I
like,
love
you
the
don't
idea,
need to know more.
Yeah, they're being given the opportunity of plausible deniability if they would like it. And it's obviously, like, another classic I serve at the pleasure of the president moment from each
Truly.
of them, which is beautiful. There's a lovely sense of team amongst everybody.
They're like, oh, this thing's going on. I think, CJ, you're going to need to do like a little press conference about X, Y, and Z. Is this the point at which like Leo's like, these are all the terrible things that are happening? And then Jed just goes, tell him, sister.
Yes, it is. The tell him sister from Jed is maybe the funniest thing he's ever said.
I think we all need more tell him, sister.
Yeah.
Specifically from our straight male friends.
Yes.
Potentially.
Agreed.
This is the fun part of the episode where everyone's talking about these like code words about there's like heavy rain in the northwest or like there's a downpour in the northwest. Leigh, so perplexed by this. She's like, what do you mean? Do you think it's code? And I respectfully respond, Leigh, you're an intelligent woman. You're the smartest woman I know. Of course it's code.
But what is it code for? Why are we not told what it's code for?
There's heavy hinting that like it means kind of like movement of people from one place to another to do with terrorism. It was at this point that I was like, they're like, oh, we've lost track of these sleeper cells in New York. And I was like, well, obviously there's going to be a terror attack. That's what's going to happen. Should we talk about the offer of a kiss from Jed Bartlett? So this is kind of the confirmation moment that Toby has bought Andy a house. It's because like Jed Bartlett himself is like, oh, I heard about the house. The house is a masterstroke. Come on, give us a kiss.
I love that Jed is feeling frisky in this moment of jeopardy. I appreciate that. The combination of tell him sister and give us a kiss. I'm like, I'm obsessed with you. Love you, King.
He's never been more stressed.
Yeah.
I also think because we've obviously mentioned the house about 17 million times, which means it's going to go badly.
Yes, because everyone has decided that it's genius.
Which means the opposite is going to happen. Jed is giving a speech at Zoe's graduation.
Yes.
Will is like, hey, you need any help with that?
Not just a speech, the commencement address. Now, with that being said, I have no recall of who gave the commencement address at our graduation, what they said or who they were.
It was a man called... And again, I mean this with great respect. His surname was Dyke. Greg Dyke. Greg Dyke.
That's ringing a vague bell.
British journalist and former Chancellor of the University of York. Yes, and he is a media executive, football administrator, journalist and broadcaster.
Love that for Greg.
Yeah, so he was like, he worked in football and in the men's football.
Which we don't care about, respectfully.
No, so I think it really, really went over our head.
Probably some sports metaphors that I was too busy flirting to.
It was the humanities graduation day, and I was like, buddy, this is not your crowd.
What I will say is Zoe's graduation is at 4 p.m. today. Jed has not started writing this speech.
You don't have anything?
On paper, no.
I think that's really funny. Because, like, you either do or you don't. But I love the concept that he's like, written down, obviously not. But, like, I've got ideas. It's so stressful.
It's the same energy as a stand-up going, I think I'm just going to do crowd work tonight.
Yeah. And everyone's like, sure,
For
great
your
idea.
whole set?
For the full 30 minutes? That seems bold. Wesley. Hello, Wesley, and your extremely sexy voice.
Hey, Agent Wesley.
AKA Taye Diggs, AKA Mrs Idina Menzel.
AKA new Secret Service agent character man. Obsessed. I'm leading book...
I love how we both immediately tried to claim Wesley. That was very good. No, Leigh, please.
I'm leading Book Bag's paparazzi patrol for 3 months.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a powder puff detail, isn't it, fella?
I find Joshua Lyman having to prove his manliness to any man whose masculinity intimidates him very funny.
Wesley works for the Secret Service. He is a close protection agent. Don't be calling him fella, Josh.
Nothing that Wesley does has anything to do with a powder puff. Let's just make that really clear.
Plus, can we stop talking about it being like this silly gig? Because that's, again, it much like the house, setting us up for a failure.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of respect for the fact that Wesley at one point returns this to Josh. You know, I can kill you and just make up the reason why I did it, right?
Obsessed.
The power, the class, the energy. I love Wesley.
The sass.
But should we meet Zoe's French team?
Please. I'm immediately obsessed with both Molly O'Connor and Randy Weathers. My canon is that they are both queer women. I don't know that it's...
Randy Weathers?
I don't know that it is...
A woman called Randy Weathers? And this fucking gorgeous actress is playing Randy Weathers. And I'm like, that name is criminally unsexy.
I think there's something fun about a female Randy. Randy on a man? Never.
Not a fan, yeah.
Not a fan. Randy on like a young, hot Secret Service agent who's a woman?
Randy Weathers is crazy to me, but I'm just gonna say, what a bunch of legends.
Yes, I will say I don't know that it's possible to do what Molly goes on to do and not have at least kissed a girl. You know what I mean?
I just think that the vibes of the team that's been assigned to Zoe for her French trip seem impeccable. And like,
yes.
Imagine being like, oh, cool, like we're going to be assigned to book bag. We're going to go to like Paris essentially for 3 months. She's going to be going to lots of parties. It's going to be a bit of a stressful detail, but like, it's going to be really fun. Wesley's going to be our boss. Fucking great.
Yeah.
Get out of DC.
Yeah.
You would be thrilled to get that posting. Also, Ron, please.
Ron's intro of Wesley is so cute.
Understandably, Jed is responding in the worst way possible to meeting the people who are going to keep his daughter alive. Well, here's my question. These guys look pretty young to me, and I'm looking for something very specific with this detail. This is a father-daughter situation, so I think what I'm looking for in terms of protection would be best characterized as, well, overwhelming force. Do they have that? Do they have the ability to just overwhelm any danger that might... Do they have overwhelming force?
Attack, Randy.
Randy then just takes down Wesley. Just blows Wesley to the ground. Like he's nothing. Like he's nothing.
As Jed goes on to say, like a bag of potato chips.
Poor Zoe's walking into the room in her graduation outfit at this point, seeing like her dad making essentially her security detail act like performing animals. And it's like, Dad, what are you doing?
She looks amazing. She looks so grown up. Why am I tearing up? I'm so proud of her. She's like in a little beige leather jacket and a lace pencil skirt. She looks so elegant. And it was just so emotional to see her. Like, we met her obviously in like jeans and a flannel with like a pixie cut that was in the process of growing out, which is very, I'm 18.
For the time, a really well put together graduation look. Perfect for photos. A lovely little silver dangly earring. She does look gorgeous.
I will say, actually, tonally very, very akin to my look for my confirmation in the Catholic Church at the age of 12.
Good for you, Leigh.
Thank you. It was a big time for lace.
Oh.
What I will say is Martin Sheen then absolutely destroys me with the line about the Yahtzee in the movies.
What daughters would do their whole lives if I had my way.
I'm crying.
Me too. I cried at that.
Yeah.
It's the way that he looks at her and he's like, I don't want you to grow up. You're my baby girl. And I was like, wow, this is too much, frankly.
Yeah. I love that we've heard hide nor hair of Elizabeth or Ellie for 4 entire seasons because Jed does not care about them.
Oh, he has a favourite. That's fundamentally clear. You take care of that new detail now. They've got some mimes over there that can be pretty nasty.
So we're really actively ribbing Wesley as as a full team. And what I did say at this stage in the episode was, why do I feel like Wesley is going to have to do something extremely heroic?
This was the point where I said, oh God, it's Zoe. It's going to be Zoe. Everyone's talking about France being this walk in the park. Everyone's like, hey, have a good summer, you guys. We're looking in the wrong place. We're worried about a terror attack in the US. No. I was like, it's going to be when she lands in France tomorrow. That's going to be, that's where we need to be looking. But things just go from bad to worse because there's a missing container in a port somewhere.
I still, at this point in the episode, am not getting the torrential downpour thing.
That's okay, because Leo himself is kind of struggling with the concept of like modern childbirth.
Has never computed the concept of an induction before. His mind is blown by it.
Oh, sweet papa. He's like, do you know you can just book in a date and you go in there and have the babies on that day, while we never could do that with our kids? And I'm like, yeah, like it's been 30 years.
Jed
like you unaware that like medicine has progressed since your children were born.
I will say, I do remember when my cousins started having kids and my dad was like pushing around one of my cousin's kids in their buggy once. My dad was like, wow, the turning circle on these things is really improved.
Oh, that's so sweet.
But speaking of fathers, Jed is still having a very emotional dad day. He's still having a meltdown. Just apropos to almost nothing, says, well, that's about the last thing they're going to get to decide. So you choose Tuesday. 20 years later, look what happens. Like, your daughter graduates from uni?
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about how we were excited that Toby's becoming a father, but let's talk more about you, Jed.
You know what? Actually, there is a dad that's going to come up in the study session that I think is very apropos to what this is turning out to be, which is his daughter, who we will meet in the study session, referred to him as having to be the bride at every wedding and the corpse at every funeral.
That's the most amazing phrase I've ever heard.
Said of her own father.
Damning, but also deeply, deeply incredible. I am outraged by the start of the next scene.
Danny has just allowed himself into CJ's office and fallen asleep on CJ's personal couch. It's hugely invasive and unacceptable.
And then, like, she's like, what the fuck are you doing in here? And he's like, oh, I'm just so groggy, I just woke up. And she's like, right, well, like, what's the news? And he's like, oh, I've just flown from Germany. I've been still digging into this Sharif storyline. And basically, you're a big old lying liar. And I've done so much for you. And, like, you're, like, you never, like, extend me the same courtesy.
Saying that CJ has never extended you courtesy is insanity, you ungrateful little swine. I have been done
salty little hog.
I have
Get
been
out of her office.
Over this character for quite some time. He, in this episode, I get he's working on a story, blah, 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 freedom of press, etc. And you can take that out of context if you so wish. But
obviously, we love free press. We love journalism. But why must he be such a dog with a bone?
I hate him. Anyway, let's move on.
For me, I'm like, when Danny first came into this show, he was like a really fun journalist who had a very similar energy to kind of like a core group of the press corps. And he was like very much like popping his head around corners and being like, CJ, like, could I push you for a couple of minutes? And she'd be like, okay, fine. Whereas now, the way that he's being written since he's been on this sabbatical is he's like, no, I deserve your time. Do you know who I am?
It's very Aiden 2.0 in Sex and the City.
Oh my
after
God.
the cheating with Big.
Yeah. Where he's just like, well, I should always win because you cheated on me.
But CJ didn't cheat. CJ's done nothing to you.
They just snogged a few times. My God. The way she looks at him in the eye and says, not this weekend. If you're an intelligent man, which he pertains to be, you would know that she wasn't messing around.
Yeah.
shall we talk about Toby? I think it's time. Should we just get this done? Should we get this done with?
So this was what I was looking up as we were starting, which is that as I was voice noting our Patreon for comfort and support as I was watching this episode on Discord. And what I did receive was a message from Pippi Jane, which I very much appreciated when I got to this stage in the episode and I was voice noting about how beautiful the house is. I got a message from Pippi Jane saying, I think I'm the only one here right now, but I'm metaphorically holding your hand through this. Keep them coming, referring to my voice notes on the Discord.
I couldn't send Leah a video when I was watching this, but I sent her a voice note. And when I say that the vocal crack that happens at the end of this voice note, upon reflection, once I had recovered, made me laugh so hard.
Oh my God.
I was so bereft.
Should we
something in this? Okay, so the house. We're at the house.
It's potentially the most beautiful house I've ever seen.
It's a Nora Ephron house.
It's a chocolate box house.
Every time we drive by, you say it's your dream house. Well, I'm sobbing. Like, I've started crying at this point because Andy's like taken off the blindfold and you can see that she's like, why are we here? And we go inside the house and he's like, so it belonged to a senator or a congressperson?
A senator, I think, yeah.
And they've been round before. And he's like, every time we're here, you always say like, oh, if you're ever going to sell it, like, let me know. Mm-hmm. Well, he decided to sell it and I've bought it. And she's like, oh, that's so nice, Toby. So this is your new house. And he's like, no, well, it could be your house. But that all depends on your answer to this question. And then they're in like the empty kitchen space with like the beautiful doors out onto the back of the house. And he's like, will you marry me? And she just says, can you get the down payment back? That's her response when he says, will you marry me? And at that point, I thought I was going to be physically sick.
Yeah.
And then Andy proceeds to do one of the most heartbreaking speeches I've ever heard, performed stunningly and reciprocated as her scene partner by Richard Schiff. Unbelievably. These two have incredible performance chemistry. And I think that's why I was so unbelievably destroyed by this, is because I felt like it was real, that they were real people, and my body responded as if this was a real thing that was happening.
She says the big statement that she says to Toby, and the statement, I had to pause and just take some breaths before I could carry on with the episode. I will say, being at this stage 4 months out of the biggest breakup of my life.
It wasn't what we needed. The line that could be one of Aaron's most beautiful lines. You're just too sad for me, Toby. You're too sad for me. You're just sad. You bring the sadness home with you and you're sad. And he stands there and he's taking it, and you can see Toby, the character, being like, right, like, what can I do to fix this? And he's like, but I've been trying to address all the things that went wrong in our marriage. Like, I've been eating salads. Like, I've been trying to do all this stuff. And she's like, I never needed you. I never wanted you to do that. You've made this whole thing up. And it's so devastating to watch a human being be like, oh, but I thought this was about the chase. I thought you were trying to make me realize I had to work harder for you. But actually, you've never been on the table. And when I think about it, you never promised that you were on the table.
Yeah.
This was genuinely just about us having these babies together and you being very happy for me to co-parent with you. But you never wanted me again. And I didn't ever stop wanting you.
And it's like, it's not something that I can like make some lifestyle changes to fix. Nope. It's like, this is a fundamental part of who I am. And I also know what you are saying is true. I've just never been able to vocalize it before. And you kind of get the sense that this is what she held back from saying through their whole divorce. This is the thing that she was like, I can't say to him that this is the reason why we're breaking up because it will break him. But for me and myself and my own mental health, I need to get out of this relationship because it's not good for me for that reason. But I can't say it to him because it will break him. And you get the sense that she would have rather anything than ended up actually saying this to him. She only says it to him because she is 10 days out from giving birth to twins. She is, I imagine, exhausted, and he's made this grand gesture, and there's nothing else that she can say other than the thing that is true at this point.
Because that's the last thing that he needs to know. She's like, he's been so, you can tell that she's like, you're not going to get this unless. And you see the moment that Toby's heart breaks. You see the physical second where he realizes that they're not getting back together.
And they're never going to get back together.
And that it's
and
not like
she's already gone.
Yeah. And she actually was never reattainable after the divorce. Like, they weren't ever getting back together. She knew that. And then of course her waters break.
Yeah, it was at this point that I was like, I already know that I'm never going to be able to watch this episode again.
Yeah, 100%. I was then really aggressed by the fact that I assumed Stockard Channing was wearing a wig.
Right, yes.
The hair? What on earth have they done to Abby?
The new hairdo is there are worse things I could do for 2003.
It looks like a wig.
It looks like Rizzo.
I mean, you're not wrong.
She also has an aide with a bleach blonde pixie who to me is a lesbian.
Oh, the blonde-headed woman in her team is gay.
Yes.
Like,
I unfortunately,
honestly, without a shadow of a doubt.
I was barely engaging with this scene as it was happening because I was slowly becoming convinced, as I was messaging our Discord over the course of watching this episode, that what was going to happen was that we were going to have a very dark ending for Toby so that he wouldn't be around to make his kids sad.
You were spiraling in a kind of KMS space.
Yeah.
Situation with Toby, and that he would be like, I'm going to end my life because I can't be with the love of my life.
And because I am frightened of actively harming my children.
Yeah, and not loving them, right?
Yes.
And I'm meanwhile going, I think it's a wig that Stockard Channing is wearing. We were in very different spaces. Look at you. There's no way you have 3 adult children.
You like this suit?
I do, but the neck, it seems empty to me. Attention should be drawn to it. Nice job, the raising of the kid.
I am beside myself. The fact that Jed is giving his wife this level of game after a solid 30 years of marriage. Jed just does not give his wife a necklace, just how any man gives his wife a necklace. It's very the theatre.
If we want to talk about Riz,
we must begin with Jed Bartlett.
With him being like, nice job raising the kid, and then just presenting her with this huge pearl necklace.
It is ginormous.
But it does finish the outfit.
It really does. Then we're getting in the car to go to Zoe's graduation, and Jed is giving Will notes as if he essentially wants Will to start over with the speech.
What kind of changes did you have in mind, sir?
Small ones. Instead of talking about the internal muse, I want to talk about the limits of passion and the intuition of American life.
When you're like, actually, at this point, I do feel like Jed making last minute changes to this speech is honestly the least of our problems.
Yeah.
I have fears so much larger than Jed not nailing this speech.
As does Jed, I think, which is maybe the source of the slightly chaotic energy.
I'd like to side with Margaret in this moment. Leo has bought a graduation present for Zoe, which is very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It is a pen.
It is.
And Margaret's like, oh, a pen. Right.
She is saying this in a gorgeous sage.
She looks amazing. She looks really good. And I would like to say, I think a really, really nice pen a fancy pen is a fantastic gift for like a 30th birthday.
Less so for a 21. Yes, I would agree.
21, I'm like, do you know what? Like, you could buy her something like a great leather jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, honestly, just put some money towards her traveling. Or like a great bottle of champagne that you're like, do you know what? Don't save it for something, just enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But the pen,
I think it is a kind of classic, old-fashioned
like graduation gift.
21st birthday graduation present. But I don't know that Zoe needs the pen. I love that everyone keeps asking if it does something.
Which is very funny. We touched back in with CJ. She kind of updates Leo on the Danny situation. And essentially Leo weighs in and is like, Danny, nothing on this story. I'm going to give you a scoop, but just give me a few days. And Danny just immediately is like, absolutely, not a problem. And I get the seniority thing. Like, I get that Leo's chief of staff and like, that's a level above CJ that's like a big step up. But it's the fact that like, he was like baiting her and making jokes. But as soon as Leo walks in the room, he's like, oh, good, whatever you say. Hate that. Let's briefly touch in with Donna and Amy.
Yes.
We will come back to them later in the ep, but kind of a little kind of fashionista moment between these two.
Yeah, they're both looking lovely. Lovely to see them side by side.
Our gals.
Yeah.
a cheerful OBGYN in a baseball cap.
Now I have huge questions about what this man has to say to Andy. How in the name of God did Andy get to 10 centimeters and not even notice? I'm aware that there are women for whom labor progresses very quickly. Those women know about it. You know what I mean? Like, they're not able to carry on a conversation while that is happening.
Yeah, it was a little bit for TV.
Yeah, what I will say is I immediately got emotional about what an incredible birthing partner Toby Ziegler would be. He would shout at people in order to advocate for you so that you could focus on producing the human child. He would be totally locked in. My fellow Capricorn, he's incredibly loyal. Would I want Toby Ziegler next to me while I was giving birth? Every day of the week.
I'd like to second that. I will say, having been brutally rejected maybe half an hour previous to this, he's like, what do you need? Okay, you're good. This thing. He's not trying to explain anything. He's letting her have her own experience. He's like, I'm here. What do you need from me?
Yeah.
Unbelievable within that phase of rejection that he's just doing that.
And then I realised that Andy's not been shot. In fact, she's in the hospital and she's having the baby. So my previous theory about what the violent scenes were going to be has proven untrue. Therefore, I just remembered in this moment that we have violent scenes yet to come.
Which is why I was freaking out, because I was like, oh, well, let's go to a massive public event, i.e. a graduation. I literally wrote in the Shed Doc, what the fuck, Leigh? Are we stupid? They're going to attack the graduation. How have we been so dumb?
Which is why I also said we're at the commencement. Oh God, my thought was very much in the same place. I was also crying at the little look between Zoe and Jed as Jed comes out on the stage. Just their like father-daughterly affection was very moving to me.
But then just time passes and it's the evening.
Yes, it's now night. Thank God there was no terrorist attack at Zoe's graduation. And then I did flag at this moment, there's been a lot of togetherness between Amy and Donna this ep. And if I didn't know better, I'd be rooting for them to kiss.
I mean, the dream.
When they think that they've been competing for Joshua Lyman this whole time and they actually just wanted each other.
I was like, oh wait, is something going to happen to one or both of them? And then like Josh is going to have to come to terms with his feelings in some way or like make a choice. Donna's like working on this huge computer.
It's very
and like Amy's
nostalgic.
Like, hey, I really need like some eyes on this thing I'm working on.
Then I was like, oh my God, is Amy poaching Donna to work in the First Lady's office?
Which would be fun.
Yeah.
Smash cut to the Arboretum.
Josh is helping Charlie find the bottle. He's actually being a very cute wingman, continuing our theme from earlier in the episode where he actually had good woman advice for the first time. Then it's very fun because they're very clearly city boys in the outdoors and they do step into a brook.
They splash into some ankle height water and Josh says, God, now I know how they felt in Nam.
I so deeply need you to know that you are not in Nam, Josh. Like, I really deeply need you to know that.
Really funny.
And then I was crying because Zoe was there waiting for him.
She's just sat with the bottle of champagne.
Because she also remembered.
And also knew that like Charlie would come.
Because they know each other so well, because they're actually still very deeply connected.
And then Charlie's trying to be a really good friend.
Yeah.
And Zoe is kissing him.
Yes.
And obviously, I want them to kiss, but I know that like Charlie doesn't want that. Like Charlie wants her to break up with Jean-Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie wants her to make decisions based on what she wants, not on what people think she should do.
Mm-hmm. You know, there are people at a party that a radio station's throwing at that techno place that looks like the end of the world. I think they went because you said you'd be winding up there. I didn't come because you'd be here. I wasn't trying to. And what I will say, that description makes the party sound like a disaster waiting to happen. The techno place that looks like the end of the world. I mean, we've both been to that party, I feel.
Yeah, awful, hideous. Charlie, I believe, sets a really good boundary at the end of this scene.
Yes, agreed. He also tells her not to do drugs, which we love. Because if you're going to do drugs, don't do them with Jean-Paul. Please.
Jean-Paul, she's like, Jean-Paul wants us to do E tonight. And Charlie's like, don't do that. Like, have a good time. Don't do that. And I'm like, I agree with Charlie. I think doing drugs with Jean-Paul sounds frankly horrific because he is awful. And then, of course, we're cutting to Leo with him going, where are we with this? What kind of day has it been? And I was like, no, Aaron Sorkin. Don't you do that with that line. I know what you're doing with that line. You always do it and I don't like it. Something bad is going to happen. We're in a club. We're in a public space. It's busy. I don't feel safe. Zoe's security team are like trying to like work out. It's a stressful place to be close security.
I will say it is the most turn of the century club that I have ever seen. It feels simultaneously as though somewhere that Samantha Jones would have gotten an invite to the opening of.
Yes.
And also that the Spice Girls movie potentially had a scene in where their friend goes into labor. It's like all of those clubs in one that Zoe is at for her graduation.
And we're cutting between that and like Amy and Donna, and like Amy still continuing on this like, oh, do you think Josh is like mad with me about this thing that I said about like the VP options? And then the needle drop, Leigh.
We get Massive Attack. Hey, Massive Attack. I didn't expect to see you here.
An iconic needle drop. The end of this episode through the framing of that Massive Attack song is unbelievable.
It makes it so intense. I also very quickly, with the Massive Attack needle drop, was like, someone is on drugs. Jean-Paul has laced Zoe's drink.
It was so good, isn't it? Because like it's the way that like, and the edit as well, that there's like kind of like slowing down the frames just a little bit. At this point, I was like, if he has spiked her because she said she didn't want to take drugs, I will never fucking forgive him.
What I will say is the intensity of the Massive Attack under the Donna and Amy scenes also increases the feeling that they are going to kiss. I know it's not supposed to be a romantic scene, but why so much sexual tension though?
100%. This is so bizarre. I understand why Josh might have been offended by what I said, even though it was misinterpreted. But what I don't understand is that both times we've spoken about it, it seemed like you were too.
No, I understood what you were saying. Josh worked for Hoynes for a long time. There was a reason.
He left him.
And if you think that was easy, you're crazy. Josh doesn't leave people.
I get that he was close to Hoynes. What I don't get...
You have to get Josh. Saying Josh doesn't leave people and you have to get Josh to his ex is crazy. If someone tried to say that to me, if a work colleague of my ex's tried to say that to me about someone that I had been in a relatively serious relationship with, I would not respond well to that. I think actually, given the craziness of what Donna is saying, I think Amy actually responds quite well.
The way Amy looks at Donna after she says that, and you can see what's playing in her head is, oh, it's you. You're the one. Mm-hmm. You're the one. You're the issue in all of this.
And she has not been jealous of Donna for the whole time she was actually with Josh.
Yeah, like they actually, in general, like kind of as the girlfriend, she handled it so well, but was also really respectful that like clearly she understood there was going to be a level of intimacy between Donna and Josh as colleagues, the closeness that they need to have. Like she was very cool.
And it's like you can see, and I have to say that Mary Louise Parker gives like an incredible performance in this. I mean, this episode is packed with incredible performances, but she gives an incredible performance in this scene because you can see her in real time actively reframing how she has viewed Josh and Donna's relationship through the entire course of her relationship with Josh.
We cut back to Zoe in the club. She's like, I feel really weird. And Jean Paul's like, it's just the E in your drink. Like, just enjoy it. Just like, enjoy feeling it. And I was like, I never trusted you, Jean Paul. This is really scary. And why are you pressuring her so much when she said she didn't want to do it?
Yeah. She's way more fucked up than she should be. We know that Zoe is somebody who parties. We've seen her with beers in her hand before. It's never gotten out of hand. It's never been crazy. For her to have had a couple of glasses of Prosecco and now what looks to be her first cocktail, she is way more fucked up than she should be. And he has 100% laced her drink with ecstasy. 100%.
We flash back to Amy and Donna, and Donna's like, he goes through life every day worried someone in his life's going to die, and it's going to be his fault. So why do you think that makes him walk so fast?
And then I was like, oh God, because Massive Attack is still going. We always need to remember Massive Attack is still happening. And I'm like, oh God, someone's going to die. I was like, don't let it be Charlie. I will never forgive Aaron Sorkin if it is Charlie. You cannot do that to your one returning black character. No, that cannot be what happens. Then I was like, oh God, Amy's on her fourth beer. We can actively see her lining up the beers. That also feels bizarrely dangerous for a woman who we do know can handle her drink. I don't know why I was so panicked about 4 beers from a grown woman. And then I was like, oh God, she's actually calling Donna on it.
She says, like, are you in love with Josh?
Which I have to say I actually rate.
Yeah. But also, we never hear Donna's answer.
No. And I think the staging of the scene is also genius. They're not looking at each other. Donna's still like in her task. Amy is famously lining up her beers.
Really, really good. It's really good. And then we're like cutting back to Zoe and she's like, I need to go to the bathroom. Like, I'm just going to go and put some water on my face. I was like, get out of there.
I was like, please find a Secret Service agent now. You know they're here. Go find them.
I hate you, Jean Paul. You're a prick. And you don't love Zoe if you've made her feel this way.
I then was like, we're 100% going to see an act of retribution.
Josh, meanwhile, is outside in the street with Charlie for whatever reason, chatting absolute bollocks.
Is Josh drunk? It feels like Josh is drunk. It's true that you adapt to the terrain, of course. After a little while, I just said to hell with it, took my pants off. Are you talking about when you were in the Arboretum an hour ago? Are you talking about...
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And then Wesley's like, oh, sorry, just need to like check in. And like, we lose eyes on Zoe in the club. And then we're like, Zoe's in the bathroom. And then we're like, hey, Molly, can you follow in? And I think we ask Randy as well. And Randy's like, I don't want to get too close. Like, I don't want to like stress her out. She's trying to enjoy herself. And then Wesley's like, there's something wrong. And he goes in, he's like trying to get through the room, which is very stressful. He then like asks a waitress to go in and see if there's anyone in the bathroom. She's like, there's no one in the bathroom. He like runs down the side, like the back door is open. He runs out there and Molly is shot dead, single gunshot to the head.
Execution style.
Yeah. And he's like, we've lost book bag. We're going black.
And he finds her panic button on the ground as well before he gets to Molly.
And then we cut back to the West Wing to Ron coming to Leo and being like, I mean, the worst day of Ron's career.
The worst day of Ron's career.
Going to Leo and being like, we've lost Zoe Bartlett. We don't know where she is. She has been abducted.
I mean,
Massive
the
Attack
idea
is just blasting in the background as like in slow-mo.
The thought of like the Obama daughters. I mean, that's the equivalent of like if one of them had been abducted, because they were teenagers by the end of Obama's
like Chelsea
tenure.
Clinton as well, I'd say.
Yeah.
Something like that happening to her.
Jenna
I feel like
Bush is just like
Leo McGarry sprinting.
The run from Leo out of everything in this episode made me dry heave and like sob, like dry heaving on sobs. Seeing that man run.
And that's the end of the episode.
It's like seeing your granddad run. Like, you know, something awful has happened.
It's life or death.
Yeah.
What an episode.
I didn't realize until this moment that I did none of the quick fires because I was in like a very specific headspace when I finished this episode.
Me neither. I actually was like, I don't remember really anything. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I can like blast through in like a fun way, but we don't need to linger if we don't have. Let's do this as like almost like in the moment, Lee. If you've got no answer, we move on.
Yeah.
Okay, quick fire, best fashion.
I think Amy had some great looks this episode.
I'm going to say hats off to Zoe's graduation outfit.
Yes, yes. Agreed.
What could a British or Irish politician never get away with?
Pretty much anything that Jed said in this episode.
Yeah, truly. Running.
Yeah.
Running. Just running. Queerest moment that never meant to be queer.
Amy and Donna and Massive Attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that. I'm just going to also say Randy Weathers.
Yeah.
Best writerly moment.
Oh.
The house. It's the house, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the house with Andy and Toby.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Aaron, you can just fuck right off. You've really ruined my life with that scene. Because that's now happened and I can never live my life with that not being something that's happened now.
I feel that is a breakup that I have now had, personally.
Yeah, I felt it. I really felt it. Man, I feel like a man.
I think just Toby as a man getting down on one knee and just being like, this is everything I have. Like, that has to be
I bought you your dream house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. I'd say also Jed Bartlett arriving at his daughter's graduation ceremony as president of the United States and having his script written on napkins.
Yeah.
Moment that made you proudest to be an American?
Wesley, Agent Wesley.
Agreed, that was going to be mine. Thrilled. Okay. I'm glad we're in agreement. I have no idea where we go with like some sort of study session, Lee, because I am so fired up.
Well, obviously, as we know, famously, we've lost Book Bag. And I thought that maybe we needed something to lift our spirits. So I wanted to get into my new favorite woman from history, a former first daughter, Alice Roosevelt.
Tell me more about Alice Roosevelt.
So, September 14th, 1901, as we've previously covered, President McKinley dies in office from a gunshot wound. His vice president, Teddy Roosevelt, is sworn in, and the Roosevelts move into the White House for the first time. Alice Roosevelt is the eldest daughter of Theodore Roosevelt. She is, at this time, 17.
Wow. Formative age.
There's an incredible photo of her. I was just going to do first children more generally. And then I saw this photo of Alice Roosevelt standing in what was once the White House greenhouses, which were taken down in 1902 specifically in order to build the West Wing.
Oh.
Hello. Because Teddy Roosevelt needed somewhere to work because he had so many kids. His house was so crazy that he couldn't work in the residence. So, and there was just this photo of Alice Roosevelt standing in the White House greenhouses before they were torn down in favor of building the West Wing. And you know when you just see a woman's face and you're like, I need to know more about who this woman is.
I've just Googled her and my God, like, she looks cool as a fuck.
She's so cool. Like, there is no escaping it. So
This is just a little pull quote. Her father ran the country. She ran wild. And America loved every minute of it.
Yeah. So she then kind of launches with the press because the 4th of January, 1902, she has the first ever White House debut. She has her debutante ball. In the White House. She is one of the magic 5 Roosevelt cousins to come out that season. 600 people came to her ball. And she did also dance with her distant cousin, the 19-year-old Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
No
to the United States Marine Band. And she was touted, it was a huge success, her debutante ball. And she was touted, the event was touted as an event not seen since the days of Dolly Madison.
Oh my God, Leigh, I'm sure you're going to say this, but this is just the most amazing sentence I've ever read.
There's so many, Fi. We're going to have to get into it.
Okay, right. Please, because, and if we don't cover any of the things I've just read, please let me say this before the end of the episode. I think I have a new icon in life. I might dress as her for Halloween.
She became a phenomenon. She is one of the first celebrities because she comes into prominence just at the same time as the rise of mass media. The middle class has emerged and they have an appetite for celebrity gossip. She was literally the Paris Hilton of her day. She even had a tiny dog that she was often photographed with, who was named Leo.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. She was born on the 12th of February, 1884. Her mother died 2 days later. Her father, Theodore, then remarries to his childhood sweetheart, Edith, in 1886 when Alice is a toddler. Everyone had assumed that Theodore would marry Edith originally, but then he went away to uni and had fallen in love with Alice's mother, Alice Lee. Theodore, very intense about Alice Sr.'s death. He, upon the point of his remarriage, says that Alice Sr. is never to be spoken of again. And in fact, Alice is referred to as sister rather than by her name because her dad couldn't stand to hear his dead wife's name.
So it's like, I named you after my wife, but actually it's too painful for me to say your name, so you're just going to be sister.
Yes, she doesn't really bond with any of the younger Roosevelt siblings, with the exception of her brother Ted. She is very much like kind of off on her own. She later wrote in her memoir, "My father obviously didn't want the symbol of his infidelity around. His two infidelities, in fact. Infidelity to my stepmother by marrying my mother first, and then to my mother by going back to my stepmother after she died."
I think we're robbed of a film about Alice.
Truly. So she's 19 and in the White House as first daughter when she writes in her diary in 1903, "Father doesn't care about me, that is to say 1/8 as much as he does about the other children. It is perfectly true that he doesn't, and Lord, why should he? We are not in the least congenial, and if I don't care over much for him and don't take an interest in the things he likes, why should he pay any attention to me and the things I live for, except to look on them with disapproval?"
Wow, she was a really tough teenager to live with.
She becomes a rebel, as is becoming evident. Her dad, Theodore Roosevelt, famously pretty good at what we would now call PR. Alice called her father one of the greatest experts in publicity there ever was. But so was she. And she did not share his Victorian values. The president was very big on the kind of Victorian Puritanism of it all, and really wanted to dictate the family's moral behavior. But he met his match in his eldest daughter, Alice, and they did clash spectacularly. She had her own car. She bet on races. She had a pet snake that she brought with her to parties and carried around in her purse. The snake was called Emily Spinach.
I have nothing to return to that because it's perfection.
She went out in public alone. When she was told not to smoke in the White House, she went and smoked on the White House roof because it technically wasn't under her father's roof.
She's my idol.
Respectable newspapers like the New York Times, the Tribune, the Washington Post were reporting on everything she did. She was one of the first people to be famous just for being famous. Her younger sister Ethel had none of her celebrity, and she eclipsed all of the debutantes from the Astor and Vanderbilt families in her day.
And so she should.
Theodore Roosevelt, very threatened by his eldest daughter's popularity. Her family were very stressed about what they referred to as her vulgar pursuit of publicity. And the press did dub her Princess Alice and referred to her in headlines simply as her with a capital H.
Like God.
Edith Roosevelt, her stepmother, wrote to her sister at this time that her stepdaughter, quote, cares neither for athletics nor good works and had the unfortunate habit of running the streets uncontrolled with every boy in town.
I love her. I actually love her. Leigh, have you got the quote from
there are so many to come, Fee.
because it's one that Theodore says about her.
Oh no! We're getting there. Don't worry, we're getting there.
I think
We're
that might be the
getting there.
best thing I've ever read.
Alice later noted that, quote, there was no Hollywood and there were no movie stars in these days. They liked my father and there I was having a good time and not really giving a damn.
Queen. She's a queen.
Margaret Cassini, who was the daughter of a Russian ambassador and one of Alice's best friends in her youth, said there were no movie stars to write up, no society except high society. And so everything we said, wore, did, or did not do was spied upon, commented upon, torn to shreds. She later described their friendship as two badly spoiled girls set on their own pleasure, imposing a veritable reign of terror. All this publicity also that neither of us were often at home except to sleep or change clothes did not at all please our parents. So what I'm getting from this is that Marguerite Cassini
Ritchie
is
and
the
Paris
Nicole
Hilton.
Richie to Alice's Paris Hilton.
Yes. Oh my God, Leigh, I love you so much. I love that we made that connection at the same moment. It's so hot. Do you love it?
That's hot.
That's so hot.
The New York Herald reported that in 15 months of her father becoming the president, Alice attended 407 dinners, 350 balls, 300 parties, 680 teas, 1,706 social calls, and had shaken hands with 32,000 people.
The bitch was busy.
She was known through her life for her caustic one-liners, referring to her own dad, as I previously mentioned, as the corpse at every funeral and the bride at every wedding. She referred to President Coolidge as looking as if he were weaned on a pickle. Of her, again, cousin, Franklin Roosevelt, she said he was composed of 2/3 mush and 1/3 Eleanor.
Also, like... Hi, Eleanor.
Oh, we're going to get into her relationship with Eleanor because famously Eleanor and Franklin were cousins. So Alice, also their cousin.
Also a cousin, yeah.
Yes. She also famously had an embroidered pillow, which was in her house for decades, that read, if you haven't got anything good to say about anyone, come sit by me.
Oh my God, I love her.
So she becomes a celebrity the month after her debut. She goes to christen an American yacht for Kaiser Wilhelm in New York. The Kaiser...
Also crazy.
The Kaiser sends his cousin, Prince Henry of Prussia, to accompany Alice and strengthen diplomatic relations with the USA. Much to the Women Christians Temperance Union's chagrin, Alice broke a bottle of champagne against the bow. The papers reported diagrams of the ship, what everyone was wearing, exactly how often the prince took Alice's arm. Alice very much enjoyed the prince and the press attention. The Times reported Miss Roosevelt was the most self-possessed person on the stand and seemed to look upon the whole affair as a lark.
And so she should.
Alice was presented by the prince with a bracelet from the Kaiser, and the papers speculated that Alice would marry into a royal family, which is where she got the nickname Princess Alice, which stuck. Soon after, Theodore Roosevelt sent a telegram forbidding her from serving tea at a charity function at the New York Orthopedic Hospital, saying it would distinctly convey the impression that anyone who wishes to pay $5 may be served with tea by you and Ethel Barrymore. I cannot consent to such use of your name and must ask you not to serve tea. Alice was annoyed by this, saying she was told by her family to beware publicity and avoid photographers and reporters. And there, Alice exclaimed, was publicity hitting me in the face every day. Her dad also wrote to her younger brother, Ted, sister continues to lead the life of social excitement, which is, I think, all right for a girl to lead for a year or two, but which, upon my word, I do not regard as healthy from the standpoint of permanence. I wish she had some pronounced serious taste. He kept telling her to emulate her more serious cousin Eleanor, but she continued to fill up society pages attending parties. Her dad complaining that she tended to make her appearance well after noon, having been up until all hours dancing the night before. She also made headlines for driving her and her friend Ethel Paul without a chaperone, driving the car to Boston. They were the only women to drive, and the Philadelphia Press reported on a palm reading that she received.
Again, I love her.
In 1904, she attended the Louisiana Purchase Exposition and was almost crushed against her carriage. The New York Times reporting, Miss Roosevelt found herself in the presence of a crowd of 5,000, chiefly women, all screaming, "There she is!" and "Hurrah for Miss Roosevelt!" As Miss Roosevelt's party reached their carriage, the women burst the ineffective police barrier and a flood of femininity swirled around the carriage. They were all trying to peer over each other's heads, and most of them were hurrahing. But the tide of public opinion, as always happens with young women, the tide of public opinion began to turn against Alice in 1904 when Town Topics, which was an unofficial journal of society at the time, aka Gossip Rag, which everyone read but no one respectable owned up to reading, wrote about Alice. From wearing costly lingerie to indulging in fancy dress for the edification of men was only a step. However, it is admitted she is a smart girl, and smart girls are supposed to be clever enough to care for themselves without the aid of chaperones. So her dad decided that sending her abroad to try and keep the press attention on himself was a good idea. She was known for her dalliances, as previously mentioned, with European royals. And so he used her popularity as a strategic tool for diplomatic purposes. She was the first presidential child ever to serve as a goodwill ambassador abroad. He sent her to Cuba, Tokyo, the Philippines, Puerto Rico. He was also hoping that seeing how poor people in other countries might live might be a sobering experience for her and make her, again, more like her more serious cousin Eleanor, saying, "As I believe you've already read, I can be president of the United States or I can attend to Alice. I can't do both."
It's so good.
He also said around this time, with the Cuban Reciprocity Treaty on my hands, and at the same time being the father to Alice Roosevelt, I'm doing pretty well. Things got so out of hand, he had to cancel her going to Edward VII's coronation because there was so much press hype, and the English were insisting on treating her as an American princess and having her sit with all the royal family, leading to accusations that she had undemocratic ambitions. Her cousin Eleanor also wrote to now her fiancé, Franklin, around this time, saying that she'd run into Alice, and Alice was looking well but crazier than ever. I saw her this morning at Bobby Goulet's auto, quite alone with 3 other men.
Again, I say, good for you, girl.
So she eventually gets sent to the Philippines as an aide in the Russian-Japanese peace settlement with the Secretary of War, William Howard Taft, and this becomes this huge diplomatic trip that she goes on abroad. And the newspapers were reporting on every stop, famously reporting that in celebration of the 4th of July, as she traveled cross-country toward where the ship would leave for the Philippines in San Francisco, she set fireworks off the back of the train heading west and shot her pistol at telegraph poles from the moving train to celebrate the 4th of July. The night before they sailed from San Francisco, she escaped her chaperone and wandered Chinatown alone at night. She dove fully clothed into the ship's swimming pool. She received an offer of marriage from the Sultan of Sulu. She danced the hula in Hawaii. And also in Hawaii, again, the Secretary of War, Howard Taft, had to beg the newspaper men who caught her surfboarding in a bathing suit not to take photos. Which the only comment that Alice made on this was that it was her pleasurable duty to stir them up from time to time.
I just think my life has been wasted not knowing about this woman up to this point.
She met the Dowager Empress of China, who gave her a royal Pekingese, several bowls of silk brocade, bracelets, rings, jade and pearl earrings, and a framed picture of herself, the Dowager Empress, prompting a family friend, Willard Straight, to pen a satirical poem, Alice in Plunderland, because of how many presents she got. Also, when they visited the Imperial Gardens, everyone else walked, whereas Alice was carried on the shoulders of 4 men.
And what I say to that is, not enough people are gifting their friends pictures of themselves. Like, I do think that was just a big thing. Just like back in the day, people would be like, and here for you, a lovely portrait of me, your friend. And we just don't do that now.
No, it's so true. I mean, I have threatened to get old photos of you and I in clubs printed onto canvas, but that was more so kind of a group shot. On her trip back to New York City, she was absolutely determined to beat the record for the fastest travel time from Japan to New York. And the public were avidly reading about this in the newspapers as she kind of sped cross country in a record-breaking rail car, to the point where her father did have to telegram the rail car to tell them to slow down, fearing for her safety. But people lined the tracks to see her pass by. When she came back, she had 27 boxes of presents totaling a $25,000 duty, which her dad did tell her she would have to pay herself, and she should really think about what presents she definitely wanted to keep. But the newspapers stepped in saying that the American people wanted her to keep everything because she deserved it for cementing friendship between nations.
I just don't understand why this isn't a TV series.
She also secretly got engaged on this trip to an Ohio congressman named Nick Longworth. When asked about whether these reports were true, a Chicago Tribune reporter replied to his editor, "She went out driving with Nick Longworth this afternoon without a chaperone. If they are not engaged, they ought to be."
Truly, if I know this girl, and I feel like I do now, she needs to get engaged.
Yeah. They had one of the first ever celebrity weddings at the White House in the East Room. They had a reception on the White House lawn with 1,000 guests. He was balding, wealthy, and 15 years older than her. But the press didn't really care about who she was marrying. They just cared about like her bride era. There was a huge fashion rage for what was known as Alice Blue at this point, which was said to match the color of her eyes. There were songs written called Alice Blue Gowned and Alice Where Art Thou in her honor around the time of her wedding. When her and her fiance went for a wedding shopping trip through NYC, the New York press wrote that she enjoyed the wonderment and admiration as she pulled curious crowds of thousands. She could barely make it down the street, basically, when they tried to go wedding shopping. She got so many wedding gifts that people speculated that she might be opening her own museum. And it's reported that when Alice was leaving for her honeymoon in 1906, her stepmother Edith turned to Alice and said, "I want you to know that I'm glad to see you leave. You've never been anything but trouble."
Wow, what a parting line.
Yeah, she went on to be an outspoken political activist and writer. The Post wrote that she was perhaps the most widely discussed young woman in America, and her popularity has been great and her triumph complete. She campaigned for her husband in Ohio 14 years before the passage of the 19th Amendment that gave women the right to vote. A correspondent wrote about her husband's campaign. "Ah, if once and once only Ohio could vote for Mrs. Nicholas Longworth instead of her husband, what a landslide there would be."
Wow.
She actually campaigned against her own husband in favor of her dad's new Bull Moose party, which defeated her husband a couple of years later. But she didn't have a huge amount of sympathy for her husband. She said, "I have no use for people who take defeat seriously."
That's a very good quote.
She was a huge critic of her cousin FDR through his whole presidency. As she wrote in her syndicated newspaper column, she was very anti-New Deal. She was absolutely vicious about her cousin Eleanor throughout her time as First Lady. Famously, she had an impression of Eleanor Roosevelt, which she kind of affected something with her mouth to make it look like she had Eleanor's quite prominent front teeth. And this impression was her closing act at most dinner parties. She's quoted as saying, "When I think of Frank and Eleanor in the White House, I could grind my teeth to powder and blow them out my nose."
Whoa.
She said, "I'm probably bad about people who have noble, fine and marvellous thoughts. That's so depressing. I could never stand the little pious family things that my sanctimonious cousins used to do, but they're all dead now." She also hated Woodrow Wilson.
Interesting.
To the point where she had a voodoo doll of him and stood outside the White House when he returned from negotiating the end of World War I and the creation of the League of Nations, literally casting curses on him. She wrote in her memoir, "I got out of my motor and stood on the curbstone to see the presidential party pass, fingers crossed, making the sign of the evil eye and saying, 'A murrain on him, a murrain on him, a murrain on him,' reverting to the magic of youthful days."
She's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, her marriage was bad due to his infidelity and alcoholism. And in the 1920s, she was intimately connected with two of the most powerful men in Washington because her husband, Nicholas Longworth, was the Speaker of the House, and her lover, Senator William E. Borah of Idaho, was chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. She had her only daughter 18 years after getting married to Nicholas Longworth in 1925, saying, "I'm always glad to try anything once," about having her daughter.
I don't think that was his baby.
No, she was 41 at the time, and Paulina was likely fathered by her lover, Senator Borah. In fact, she apparently toyed with naming him Deborah because that ends with Borah's surname.
Wow.
Paulina sadly died of an overdose in 1957, which is something that Alice Roosevelt never really spoke about. But it did mean that Alice spent the rest of her life basically raising her granddaughter, who lived with her until she died. She told the New York Times, "No, I would never marry again. I might live with people, but not for long. I really wouldn't want to do anything pondering or noble or taking a position about someone again. But I might rather just spend a night with them or an afternoon or something. Still, I'm afraid I do believe in marriage," which her granddaughter is 27 at the time of this interview and says, "Why? You've hardly reveled in it yourself." And she said, "That's true. I hardly reveled in it." She was also a huge critic of Senator McCarthy, who once tried to call her Alice, which she said, "The policeman and the trash man may call me Alice. You cannot."
Very good. That's very good.
President Johnson once remarked on her large hat that she was wearing, saying, "Mrs. Longworth, it's hard to kiss you under that brim." And she said, "Yes, that's why I wear it." She also, for 6 decades, hosted a salon in her home that brought together all of the greatest power brokers in DC, scientists, authors, diplomats, politicians of Democrat and Republican. And she had a habit of trying to mix the right people at the right time. And she basically was a mover and a shaker. And people knew that if they wanted to get a bill passed, they needed to be at her house with the right person at the right time. And lawmakers for the rest of her life were in and out of her house constantly. She's just extremely savage about everyone. She called William Harding probably the most inferior man and just a slob. She referred to Benjamin Harrison, who was the first president she met when she was a child, as rather solemn bearded gnome. Her and Nixon were great friends. In fact, in the midst of the Watergate hearings, he made a point to still go to her birthday party. Less of a fan of his daughters, though. She said of Tricia and Julie Nixon, "I like Julie better than Tricia. I've never been able to get on with Tricia. She seems rather pathetic, doesn't she? I wonder what's wrong with her."
Oh my God.
She had a double mastectomy later in life, and she called herself Washington's only topless octogenarian, and became referred to in her 90s as the other Washington Monument. And she said, "When they start comparing you to the Washington Monument, you just have to open your eyes and take a good look at yourself." And I will close by saying that when a White House aide told an elderly visitor that he did not recognize not to smoke in the White House, a very elderly Mrs. Longworth stopped him and said, "Young man, I was smoking in the White House before you were born."
Amazing. What a woman. When it's like quote after quote after quote.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And the Washington Post referred to her as a reporter's dream when she died at 96 in 1980.
That feels very grounded in fact.
And even when she was in her 90s, she rarely got up before 2 p.m. because she would stay up till like 4 a.m. reading.
Yeah, good for her. That's what we all want to do.
Mm-hmm.
A true socialite.
That's been a much longer episode than when we've been doing of late, but I couldn't give short shrift to Alice. I really couldn't.
We couldn't rush the app and we couldn't rush Alice.
No.
Leigh, should we come back next week and do the finale?
But first of all, I think we just very briefly, before we go, we do need to say, like, immediate thoughts. Zoe, alive or dead?
Alive.
Mm-hmm.
Alive, but we're not getting her back.
Noted. Okay, cool. We'll see you for the finale, guys. Thank you for listening.
We are Queer Gals Watch, and we will be with you next week with the final episode of season 4 of The West Wing.
The final episode of Aaron Sorkin writing for The West Wing.
Pretty big moment.
Huge, major.
I'll see you there, Leigh.
Bye-bye.
Love you, bye.